Hi friends, this is Bilal Heather and this is the 7th video lecture on the Unity 3D programming. Um, in this video part, we are going to talk about ClientRpc functions. Alright, so in the previous parts, we learned commands, and what commands do, they send messages or function calls from clients to the server. Alright, so if I'm a client, I will send a command to the server. The other client will send his command to the server, and so on and so forth. Alright, and you already saw when we were doing those examples that this is only one-way traffic, right? So when you send a command, you can only send a command from a client to the server, and you cannot send a command from a server to the client. Alright, so what these ClientRpc functions or calls do, they are actually called on server. Alright, they are called from the server actually, and they are invoked on the clients. I mean, it's a way to send messages from a client, from a server to all the clients. Alright, so if I say I'm a server and there are like 10 players connected with me, and I want all of them to receive some message on their screens, I will just call it from the server, and that message will be conveyed to all of those clients which are connected to me. Alright, so in this video part that we are going to learn. Alright, so the first thing which we need to do to create an RPC function is to write client RPC attribute on top of that function, which we want to make as an RPC function. Alright, in this video part, we'll make a simple show message function, which will simply display this message server calls on the client's machines. Alright, so before I actually go ahead and call this function and show you how exactly it works, I must tell you that when we were writing these command messages or command functions, we used to write cmd before them to make them a command. Alright, in our case, when we are making ClientRpc functions, we also need to add a prefix to our function, and that is RPC. Alright, so when you want a function to be called from the server to the clients, or I mean you want to let's say if you're making a card game and you create a deck on excuse me you create a deck on your server, and then shuffle it on the server, and then spread cards to all of your clients. That things you can do via these ClientRpc functions. Alright, so what you do is you basically create a function like this, and you create a deck of cards, and then shuffle it, and then you can call this RPC functions and send those cards to all the players, to the clients. Alright, in this particular example, we are just sending this message in here, and that's what we are going to do. So now that we have created this function, let's go ahead and inside our update function, we'll say if is server, then RPC show message. Alright, so we already know that this function or this script is attached with all of our players. Alright, and we also know that one of the players will be hosting the game. Alright, and we also know that that player who hosts the game becomes a server and a client. Alright, so when we write if is server, then we'll make sure that one of our player which will join as a host, that will have this code with it. So this code will be executed on that client, which is a server also. Alright, so from that server we'll send this RPC show message call to all of our clients, and I mean all of the other players that are connected to that, and this function will be executed on them, on their side, and that will display us this server calls message. Alright, so let's actually go ahead and save it and execute it and see if it works. Alright, sometimes it takes some time to build and run it, so it's completely alright. So let's play the game here. Let's play the game on this side. Let's make this one a host and this one a client. Join both of them. Okay, so it says not responding, and now the game is successfully loaded. Now see, as you know that there are two players in the game, two clients. This one is a host and a server. This one is only the client. We saw these cards which are coming from 5 cards coming from this client and 5 cards coming from this client, but we are not seeing this server calls message on either of our clients. Alright, so what should happen was that this one, which is a server, this should send out this message to both of these clients. Alright, so we should be able to see one message right here and one message right here. That's what we wanted to achieve with this RPC calls, but that's not happening right here. Alright, so I know this happens a lot when we make this Unity networking games, and I have a solution for this, so stay with me, because I faced this same problem when I was expecting this to happen, because the code was right, there was nothing wrong with this code, but for some reason it wasn't working. So I figured it out. I figured a way to make it work. Okay, so we'll actually not call this RPC function directly from this if condition. Alright, so let's cut that, and we'll actually create a coroutine at this point of time. Alright, and we'll create a coroutine and we'll call it start RPC call. Alright, and inside this coroutine, so inside this coroutine, we will make it wait for 2 seconds, and then we will call this RPC show message. Let me actually pause this for a moment and I will come back. Alright guys, so I was not writing this piece of code correctly, and I was actually trying to write yield new return wait for a second, and that's not right. You have to write yield return new wait for seconds and pass in some seconds to wait. Alright, and now let's go ahead and build and run that, and I promise you this time it will work. So for some reason, if we call this RPC show message directly from here, it will not work for some reason. I don't know why it isn't working, but it does not work. But if we use this coroutine, then it will work, and that's what I'm going to show you in just a minute. And I spent a lot of time on this because it wasn't working for me, and I wasn't finding any solution on the net, but finally I tried this option myself, and I got it to work. So alright, so same as before, what happened, we joined this one as a server and a client, and the other one was the client. Both of the clients send this command to show their messages, so this part and this part was coming from the command, and this server calls actually this server sent this RPC call to display this message on all the clients, not just this one. So this server calls must also appear on this client, and it does appears here. So our code works just fine. Alright, so now we'll actually go ahead and one simple test we'll do, and that is if it's a server and we are going to pass these cards to all of our clients. Alright, in the commands, when we were learning commands, we were sending all of our clients were sending their cards to the server. Alright, and the server was displaying those cards on its side. All right, but this time what we'll do, we'll take these cards and we will change these cards a little bit, and then we will ask our server to send all of these cards to all the clients, and those clients should display these cards on their screens. All right, so let's change our coroutine a little bit, and let's pass my cards in here. Copy that. All right, so we are passing cards to our coroutine, and from there we'll pass those cards to our RPC function, and on RPC function we will receive those cards, and we will copy this code from our previous tutorial and we'll paste it in here. All right, so now what should happen is that when this script should execute, the first thing it should do is all the clients should send these cards to the server. Okay, and server should display these cards on its screen, and as soon as it's done, then the server should send these cards to all of the clients. Okay, so every single client should display these cards on their screens. So let's actually go ahead and build and run this and test it, so that we can be so sure about that if it works or not. I know it works because I already spent a lot of hours learning this, and when this RPC call wasn't working for me, it was very frustrating actually, but now that it's working, I'm so happy, and I'm sure you will be too. So let's play. Let's join as a server here, join as a client, join and join. Alright, so what happened is when the game started, both of these clients sent their cards to this server. Alright, because it's the host, and that means it's the server and it's also a client. So we saw these cards in here. Alright, then after that, this server, which is this host, what it did, it sent these cards to all of the clients. In our game we were having two clients. One client is this one, all right, because it's a host and host is also a client. So it displayed these 5 cards here, which it has done very nicely, and this server also sent these 5 cards to this client, and this client is also showing them on its screen. So now we have successfully figured out a way to communicate between a server and a client, and we also learned that you can send messages from server to all of the clients. You can also send arrays or more data along with that RPC call. Okay, so it's very interesting, and that's all for now. I hope you like my video. Show me some thumbs up, like my video, share my video. Thank you very much. See you next time.